Hey guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Today we are joined by Amparo, Jennifer, and we've got Sahil Kumar back in the studio, and we're going to discuss how the Golden Visa has been adapted for the creative market here in the UAE, which, by the way, is expected to be worth $2 billion by the end of 2024. Welcome back, our visa experts. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Good to be back.
Well, we always have questions about the Golden Visa. Today we're talking specifically about the creator market. Are there updates that anyone needs to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, there are, because so as per latest regulations, right? Like, so we've been discussing property markets, we've been discussing business, oriented golden visas. So now we wanted to bring into light the creator scene, because tying into the last week's fight that we had, the social boxing event here, there were so many creators in Dubai from all around the world, right? And in 2023, the influencer market in itself, generating revenue, it was almost about $1.5 billion US.
Wow.
That's a crazy number to have. And that was last year. We're already 6 months into the year. We're expecting it to hopefully touch about $2 billion by the end of the year. And for us as UAE, as a nation, it sort of works in our favor, right? Because there's so many influencers that want to sort of move into the country. Already, for anyone over 1 million followers, that's what's classified as a content creator. There's already 27,000 of them in the UAE as of now. So when
That's an interesting stat.
When you start breaking figures down, it really, you start gauging the kind of interest and the kind of demand that is there in the market for such a thing, which is why the government's obviously taken steps to facilitate that. But in terms of regulation, it's a case of once we're just learning as we go, one step at a time, and so it depends more about what kind of an influencer you are. Are you coming off of socials? Are you coming off of YouTube? Are you coming off of maybe TikTok now, because that's a huge thing as well. So yeah, there are different regulations based on different sort of areas.
Before we get into the specifics of which platforms they're coming from, because I understand that there are differences in golden visas for different sectors. So What is a golden visa for creatives?
So the creatives actually is very diverse if you actually look into it. So you have, say, your social media influencers, you've got your artists, you've got your musicians, you've got your athletes. Of course, we need to, the main criteria for the cultural background or the creative background, I would say, is to have your documents in place. And that's, where people like us, like the agencies, come in, where we guide you in terms of what's the right documents. So for example, since we're talking about social media influencers, we need to look into their stats. What are their followers like? In what platform are they? They've got the most. What kind of media kit do they have? Do they even have a media kit? Do they need one? Because if you don't have a well-crafted application that is submitted, and if for whatever reason it's rejected, you have to wait 6 months to reapply.
So you mentioned there we've got 27,000 influencers with over 1 million followers. I think, maybe about 2,000 followers on Instagram.
I was going to give you a drum roll and
everything. maybe I've got 1,500, right? So I'm not active on other channels. I've got about 600 friends on Facebook.
Really, Facebook?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
What type of... what I'm saying is there are a lot of micro-influencers with, let's say, 30,000, 40,000 followers. Yeah. And let's say they're active on Instagram and TikTok, which seems to be the common social media platforms. Yeah. How big of a following do you really need to be considered an influencer creator to get the golden visa?
The minimum is at least 2 million.
Okay.
That number's pretty firm.
It is 2 million because they look into it. Of course, if you are an influencer and people actually know your name specifically in the region, but you may not have that following, again, there are documents in place. You would need to get supporting documents in terms of your achievements, what you've contributed to the economy.
Okay.
So they definitely look into all of that, but you need at least 2 million.
And what are the benefits for a creator to get this visa?
Golden visa across the board, the benefits range along the same lines, right? You get a 10-year residency, you can sponsor multiple people, there's no minimum time frame required in the country, etc., etc. So in terms of benefits, that's still the same, but again, it does tie into the whole thing that once they do move here, they move their enterprise here, they start working out of the UAE, that sort of draws that kind of business in. And then once they're drawing business in, then obviously they, at some point might end up, living here, et cetera, et cetera. And so once you start building a life here, then obviously it sort of pumps in back into the economy, right? And that's such a market that's not been tapped anywhere around the world.
That's so interesting.
Because there's musicians out there who may not have 500,000 followers, right? So we did a golden visa for a Pakistani music artist. He is Pakistan's #1 Spotify artist. If you speak to someone, they may not know who he is, but we actually got his golden visa done. He has about 300,000 followers. So even though he didn't meet the criteria, but when we sort of, submitted his media kit and we sort of, went through the checklist, and they're like, yeah, okay, he has made a reasonable contribution to his field or his craft. So we did get his golden visa approved. So it's just one of those situations that now that he has a golden visa here, it's a case of pumping back into the economy. So yeah.
I love that you didn't name drop there, but
We've got paperwork in place, man.
Really?
Yeah, we've got NDAs.
Can you discuss any of the success stories of creator golden visas that you've worked with?
We've done it. So if you want me to really name drop, there's
For the informative aspect.
Maybe a couple, right? So there's an influencer whose name is Shiraz. He runs a creative agency. He's managed people like Logan Paul. He's managed people, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, etc. And that sort of ties into the whole factor of, again, he has a creative reach. He's got the 1 million followers, etc. And he's contributing in the right way towards his craft. So there you go. Pre-approval done. Visa is going to be issued, and that's it. Happy days. Okay. There's another influencer. He's massive in the region. Anand, yeah. So him, like
comedian.
Yeah,
yes. We've had him on the show. He's such a great guy.
So
yeah,
we've got his done as well. And again, super funny, individual, dedicated to his craft as well. Dedicated to his craft, and even with him, it's the same scenario because he's made a decent contribution to the art form. They grant the visa done.
Interesting. So. Yeah. As you said, contributing to the economy, to society, you may not need that 2 million number. So that's to get the visa. But do you think having a golden visa can significantly impact their careers on the other side of it? Do you think there's benefits for them to have it?
For people who actually want a golden visa, are people who want to live the Dubai life. Let's just put it there. And again, Dubai is the center of the East and the West. So a lot of people are actually coming in here and contributing in terms of their craft or whichever field they have and bringing that into Dubai. Now, to do that, if Dubai is giving you a platform, where you can have a 10-year visa without having that, mind frame of, every 2 years I need to renew it, or do I have to be sponsored, or do I get something else? That worrisome of actually going through that process. You don't need to really do that. That's one. Second is, of course, Dubai is a melting pot of different cultures. So you meet different people, if not your field, if it's not impacting, or it should definitely impact, but if it isn't, when you're here, you meet others in the same field or diverse fields as well that could eventually contribute to your success in your career.
Makes so much sense. Well done, UAE. At the beginning of the show, you mentioned that the creator market may go from 1.4 billion to 2 billion. What type of businesses, what are people doing to impact that, to get that to 2 million? What are the changes happening that are so significant? 2 billion?
You do see that the starting point is obviously there's paid promotion, there's sponsored content, there's all of those things that have been around for ages, right? But then there's also a market of now, because short form content is so important to any business or to any individual, just in general, because people's sort of attention span's gone down, right? And once you get creators into the mix and they have, the nice buildings on the palm and they've got the beautiful skyline of Dubai, Sheikh Zayed Road, and when they can incorporate that into their, let's say, daily vlogs, for example, and that sort of generates revenue for them as well, because that's their main revenue stream, right? So once you start, you've given them a backdrop, you've given them the sort of template of how this, here's our city, take it to the next level. right? And that sort of contributes towards the revenue generation aspect. So yeah, hopefully $2 billion US should be on the card, and let's just hope it gets there.
Not a small sum. Have you noticed an increase in creators from around the world coming to you guys at Decisive Zone looking for golden visas, or is it mainly people already living here that are applying?
No, we've actually seen a lot of inquiries coming in specifically for the cultural or for the creative field, just to get the 10-year golden visa here. And it's good in a way because at the end of the day, they get a 10-year visa where they don't necessarily need to stay here, but they're recognized in whichever country they're coming from, and they're recognized here as well. So it works for them. So that's good. That's good.
It also ties into our sort of, Mr. Golden Visa has been around. He's been to the States recently, Baku, Azerbaijan. So obviously that is drawing in other influences from across the world as well. So there is a definite demand coming in.
I have to ask, so for those watching the show who may not hit the golden visa requirements, but they do, for a creator, but they do want the golden visa, and we have the experts on the show, would you mind running quickly through the different golden visa categories? And if people want more information, how can they get in touch with you guys to find out?
Sure. The golden visa category is literally broken down into 4, right? So you've got the most common, which is your real estate. Invest $2 million worth of property, and then you get a golden visa immediately. Then you've got your entrepreneurs, people with a financial or a profit margin of $2 million in their business. They get a golden visa. Then you've got your cultural or your creative side, creative talents, specialized talents. And then the last is your salary bracket. So anything with a salary of $30,000 and above, you're eligible for a golden visa. Of course, there are certain requirements and criteria in place, but then you can always contact us, and we can walk you through the process.
Great. Okay.
Just Google us, get in touch with us. Decisive Zone. You see us here every week. So you know where to find us.
Decisive Zone, selling the Dubai dream. Really, every time you're on the show, I'm thinking, how can we get more people to have that, sense of stability of a 10-year visa? It's just amazing, and you're the guys that are helping people get there. Thank you so much for your insights today on the Creator Golden Visa.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right,
guys, that brings us to the end of the show on this Tuesday morning. They'll be back with us next Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Bye bye.